All right, shalom, shalom, shalom. All praises to the Most High, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, which is to say in the Paleo Hebrew, Yahweh, which is the name of our Heavenly Father, meaning He is, Bahashem, meaning in the name, Yahweh Shai, meaning He is our salvation. And that is who the world ignorantly calls Jesus a so-called black man, who, by the way, only came for the Israelites, all right? Now, this is an article I came across a couple of days ago, and I did a little research on it, and it seems to hold up, okay? And this is just all the more proof that Esau Edom is truly indeed a mad scientist, okay? So here in his latest attempt to splice DNA, he has now completed the first procedure of combining three different types of DNA into one under the guidelines of science to what? Help eliminate hereditary diseases, okay? Now, let's look at this article from CBS News. It reads, 8 babies born with DNA from 3 people in world first IVF trial aimed at minimizing risk of inherited disease, okay? Now, when you read that title alone, you think nothing of it. But when you know the workings of this man, you know what he wants to try to do and complete, all right? He wants to try to offset that of the Most High, okay? Now, this procedure, albeit it's 3 different DNAs, or should I say DNA from 3 different type of people, 1 male and 2 females. But we know Esau Edom would like to have it where it could be 2 male DNAs and 1 female. See? But it's not going to happen because why? We know that the spirit is inherent from the father, the patrilineal lineage. So Esau Edom would like to splice the male's DNA. Okay, but he's settling for the mitochondrial or the mother's DNA. All right, but the spirit doesn't dwell or lie within the mother's DNA. The spirit dwells within the father's DNA, the sperm. Okay, Esau Edom would like it to where it could be 2 quote unquote fathers fathering 1 seed. Now we know a father's sperm can split up and have twins, but that's 2 totally different things from 2 separate men. Okay? 2 separate men cannot impregnate 1 female egg at the same time. Although 1 male can impregnate an egg with 3 or 4 or 5 or however many, sperms that get to that egg. All right. I believe the most is like an octuplet, which is like 8, 8 babies at one time, or maybe it's a noctuplet, which is 9. I believe that's the most, but it's all from 1 male. All right. Esau Edom would like it to where 2 different male sperms can fertilize that egg at one time, because then you wouldn't have a cut, closed, dry case of who's the father. You see? Because when you go get these paternity tests, it's based on the father's DNA. When they give you that 99.999999%, it's based on the father's DNA. But now if somehow Esau Edom can splice that father's DNA and put another male's DNA in it, then that changes the whole dynamic. Okay? And he won't be able to do this. All right? Why? Because the Lord has shortened his time, man. So what is he doing? He's selling it for a splice DNA from the mitochondrial DNA, which is the mother side. All right? And this world's first IVF. It says 8 healthy babies, okay? And we don't know how the long-term side effects is going to be of this. This is the first time ever been done in the world. It says 8 healthy babies have been born in the UK using a new IVF technique that successfully reduced their risk of inheriting genetic diseases from their mothers. The people behind a world first trial said Wednesday the findings were hailed as a breakthrough, which raises hopes that women with mutations in their mitochondrial DNA could one day have children without passing debilitating or deadly diseases on to the children. Okay? Now, what about the father's side? All right? You see? Esau, Edom can't go on that side. All right? Because why? That's all the more proof that the sperm carries the seed. It carries the spirit. All right? Not the mother. The mother's DNA, as we seeing, can be altered, can be changed, or can be spliced with another mitochondrial DNA. All right? Because I believe the procedure was they took the egg and they took the middle part of that egg out and injected it with another woman's egg inside of her middle egg and put it into that woman's egg. Therefore, you having 3 separate types of DNA. One from the father and 2 other DNAs from the women. It says, children without passing debilitating or deadly diseases onto the children. 1 out of every 5,000 births is affected by mitochondrial disease, which cannot be treated and includes symptoms such as impaired vision, diabetes, and muscle wasting. Okay? So that just pretty much goes into your diet. All right? The women's diet, man. All right? You know, diabetes is something that, where was that thousands of years ago? That's something fairly new. All right? Because why? All these damn GMOs we eating. All right? Genetically modified organism foods, man. Lab grown meat. All right? Shit is only getting worse. Okay? And it's affecting the mitochondrial DNA. Okay, so what do? They probably go find a healthy woman that has good DNA traits, take her DNA or part of her egg, inject it into that woman's egg, and let the father's sperm, what? Fertilize it. Okay? When it all just goes down to your diet, man. If you stick to what the Lord says and eat what is ordained, you'll be okay, man. Because ultimately, it's the Lord that what? Ordains this. Okay? So Esau can only go so long, man. Or go so far with his quote-unquote science. All right? Falsely so-called science, man. Because this is nothing but an atrocity. All right? An atrocity. Okay? So that's all it's going to give us. You know, I had another article, but they would like for you to pay for you to read it. But I was able to obtain some of the information on the procedure. And it was like they took the inside of the one female egg, removed it, and put the other female inside of her egg into that female's egg. Okay? So that's pretty much the process of this new world's first IVF treatment of 3 separate types of DNA. Okay? Now there's a word that goes along with that, and it's called chirimia. Let me see if I can get that for a second, because this is basically what Esau Edom is doing. He's splicing DNA, man. Okay, this is nothing new under the sun, man. Back when he tried to splice chimpanzee DNA with a human DNA, all right, he tried to get a chimpanzee to fertilize a woman's egg, man. All right, this is this man's MO. He's mad. This is why he has to be taken out of power. All right, because he's gone completely mad, man. All right, so let's get that word, karima. This is the word chimera. Let's hear him say it.
Chimera.
All right, and this is the dictionary. It says, 1, in Greek mythology, a fire-breathing female monster with a lion's head, a goat's body, and a serpent's tail. See? So they spliced the female's DNA. It gives it a female monster with a lion's head, a goat's body, and a serpent's tail. So you can see the first image right there of the chimera. But this is not the one we want, although we could use that. The one we want is number 3. It says a thing that is hope. This is number 2. A thing that is hope or wished for, but in fact is illusory or impossible to achieve. Well, guess what? Esau Edom has achieved it, okay, to a certain extent. He has now completed the world's first 3-person DNA baby. All right, it was an illusory, or impossible. But now Esau Edom has what? Completed it, showing you that we're getting close to the end times, man. All right, so the Lord has to make his move, man. Okay, because this devil, hey, if it wasn't for the elect's sake, there would no flesh be saved. All right, but for the elect's sake, these days shall be shortened. All right, that's why you seeing the time speed up, man. Now, number 3 is what we want. It says biology, an organism containing a mixture of genetically different tissues formed by a process such as fusion of early embryos, grafting, or mutation. So Esau Edom is out here boasting on Front Street that he's mutating babies under the science of doing away with debilitating diseases, such as, what did it say? Blindness and diabetes go hand in hand. All right, when your vision starts to go, that's a telltale sign that you may have diabetes. All right, and what comes along with diabetes is what? A poor diet, not enough exercise, you see? But Esau Edom won't tell you that. Instead, he'll just give you a procedure to try to correct it, but won't tell you the underlying, causes of it. Eat a more nutritional diet, exercise more, okay? Because 2,000 years ago, where was this diabetes, man? Back when we had real food, there was no such thing. Back when we were sufficient and we growed our own food, ate our own food from our own land, we didn't have these ailments, okay? But now under this damn devil, part of the curses, going to this man for all wants and need, this is part of the curses, man. And this sinful flesh, this is why we need what? Salvation, man. This is why we need to be changed, okay? Because once we get these new bodies, we're not going to have diabetes. We're not going to be blind. We're not going to have these ailments, all right, as an Israelite, man, woman, or child. These things won't affect us, man. These are things that are going to be privy to the other nations, okay, but not Israel, all right? So this is this devil's attempt to what? Splice DNA, because ultimately he wants to change the male's DNA, the patrilineal DNA, all right? Just imagine if he can splice Esau and Jacob's DNA together. Could you imagine something like that, man? That's why the Lord got to come and take this man out of power, man. All right, let's get a few precepts now. This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 31 and verse 37. It reads, "Thus saith Yahweh, if heaven above can be measured, and the foundations of the earth searched out beneath, I will also cast off all the seed of Israel for all that they have done, saith Yahweh." Right, so Yahweh said, if you can measure the heavens above and the earth beneath, then I will cast out all the seed of Israel. Which is why you see this damn devil making attempts to go out into outer space and to send these reeky-dinky capsules to the bottom of the sea when it gets imploded for trying to reach the bottom of the Mariana Trenches, man. This devil can't search him out, but is it going to stop him from trying? No, because why? He doesn't want to be taken out of power. So if he can, in his convoluted mind, search the heavens above, go out into space, see what it looks like, and go to the bottom of the earth to see, then he can prevent the prophecies from coming to pass, but to no prevail. So now what is he trying to do? Splice DNA. All right, but he can't even do that right. All right, because all he can do is splice the mother's DNA. All right, he cannot splice the father's DNA. All right, but here it is. This devil is boasting and bragging that he's just performed the first IVF 3-person DNA baby. You know, 8 of them. All right. So this is why we need salvation, man. Because this damn devil is completely losing it, man. This devil has completely gone AWOL. Okay. This is Matthew 24 and verse 22. It reads, "And except those days should be shortened." What days? These days that we living in. What this damn devil is trying all these damn procedures, man, and ways to stop prophecies to come to pass. It says, "There should no flesh be saved," not even baby's flesh, man. Here it is. You got 8 damn babies that are spliced DNA, or what was the word we found out? Chimera. You got 8 chimera babies, man, with 3 different people's DNA, man. It says, "There should no flesh be saved, but for the elect's sake." This is the reason why. All right, for the elect's sake, those days should be shortened, man. All right, this is why this devil isn't going to be able to get off his complete new world order. All right, only to the point where he can implement and make the microchip mandatory. All right, then after that, Yahweh comes back to take this devil down. Okay. This is 1 Timothy, verse 6 and 20. It reads, "O Timothy, keep that which is committed to thy trust. Avoid profane and vain babblings and oppositions of science falsely so-called." See, this is a false science, man. All right, because this damn devil is trying to alter someone's DNA in the name of science, of doing away with diseases, ailments such as diabetes, such as blindness, which is contributed to what? The mitochondrial DNA, the mother's DNA. So this devil is taking that part of that woman's egg and replacing with another part of that woman's egg, therefore fusing 2 eggs together as one and letting the sperm fertilize that egg. All right, that's complete wickedness. So-called science, man. The Bible says 1 man and 1 woman, not 1 man and 2 women eggs fused together to make 1 egg. This damn devil has lost it, man. All right, this damn devil has lost it. He think he is God, man. This devil has a God complex. All right. It tells us that 2 Thessalonians that he sits in the temple. Second Thessalonians 2 and 4, who opposes and exalted himself above all that is called the Most High, or that is worshipped, so that he as the Most High, see, that's what he wants to be, through his what? Through his false science. All right? Through his false science, he wants to play the role of God. Okay? So that he as the Most High sitteth in the temple of the Most High. You know, and what is this procedure is probably going to, you know, be more so targeted towards the so-called blacks, Latinos, Native Americans. All right? They're probably going to have a version of this procedure where it's affordable. We already know once this devil comes out with the microchip, hey, a lot of these diseases, he's going to claim that this chip, this miracle, is going to be able to do away with them. Blindness being one, diabetes probably being another one, cancer, so on and so forth. This chip, this microchip, is probably going to give way to do what? False miracles under what? So-called science. It says, so that he as the Most High sitteth in the temple of the Most High, showing himself that he is the Most High. Right, what is the temple of the Most High? The Israelites. Okay, so we know that pursuant to prophecy, Jacob's trouble being what? You so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, it's going to come down to who do you rely on? This man as your God or Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai? All right, because you cannot serve two gods. That's in the book of St. Matthew 6. All right, right around verses 27 on down. You cannot serve the Most High and Mammon. All right, so you're going to have to make a decision, man. And if you let this devil sit above you as your God, well, the Most High have no more need for you on this side. So you will be destroyed. All right, so this devil is showing you his horns, man. All right, this devil is showing you his horns through what? His mad science. Okay, he speak as a what? As a lamb. See, on the surface, it looks harmless. Oh, we're going to take away diabetes and blindness, and we're going to replace it with a healthy, you know, part of an embryo egg, and that baby's going to be able to be healthy. He spake as a lamb, but what? Let's get this. Revelation 13 and 11. It says, and I beheld another beast come up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. See? What does it say? Never trust thy enemies, man. Okay? Because this is setting the stage for what? You to believe everything he tells you, especially when it comes out to that microchip. What does it say? Sirach 12 and 10, never trust thy enemy. All right? Though he come crouching as a tiger, harmless, crouching, showing you his submissive side, you know, he will what? He will eventually pounce on you, man. Who will pity a charmer if he get bit by a snake? All right, I believe that's in the same chapter, Sirach or Ecclesiasticus 12 in the Apocrypha. All right, so you can't trust this enemy, man. All right, if you trust him and you believe that he's doing this in the name of science, then you will have been fooled. All right. This is the book of Psalm chapter 55 and verse 21. It reads, the words of his mouth were smoother than butter. Oh, we're going to do away with diabetes. Don't you want this procedure done? Don't you want to take this microchip so your baby can be born healthy without these predispositions or these predisposed diseases? When we can do this procedure, you just come down and take this microchip and your baby will be born healthy. All right. And then once your baby is born, we're going to chip him or her so that they don't never have to worry about getting diseases anymore. This is a false miracle. It says Psalm 55 and 21, the words of his mouth were smoother than butter. You know how smooth butter is? But what? But war was in his heart. You take that chip, you just became his slave. Okay? Now he has you at his disposal. Okay? If you don't do or acquiesce to whatever he wants, he could cut off that chip. All right? It says his words were salter than oil, yet were they drawn swords. Man, you take that chip under the false pretense of this man caring about you, you gonna have hell to pay, man. All right? You gonna take that chip, you gonna get burned in the lake of fire here in America, the good old US of A, the United States of America. You will be destroyed, man. All right? And elsewhere alike. But here in America is the lake of fire, man. There's nobody coming out of here alive except for the elect. All right? So you've been warned, man. This man's false so-called science is only leading you or hurting you to what? Taking the mark of the beast, man. The microchip. All right? So beware, be warned. All right? Let's close out with that. 1 Peter 5 and 8. This is the book of 1 Peter chapter 5 and verse 8. It reads, be sober. See, you've been warned. Why? Or how? By the prophets blowing the trumpet. You know, be vigilant. Once you've been warned, you're on the lookout. Now you're going to continue to watch, man, to see this devil for who he is. Okay? Because this devil has no good intentions for you whatsoever. All right? He wants to destroy you, man. All right? As we're going to read, it reads what? It says, because your adversary, someone that's opposing you, the devil, he doesn't have your best interests at heart, although he makes it seem like it through his false so-called science. It says, as a roaring lion walketh about, seeking whom he may devour. Right? If you believe any of his lies, then you've already been had, man. All right? If you come to him because you need help, as it says in Isaiah 31, if I'm not mistaken, woe to them that go down to Egypt, you've already been had, okay? And he knows it, man. He's setting the stage by showing you these new quote-unquote so-called miracles, all right? And if you believe any of this shit, you're gonna be gotten in that time, man, all right? If you don't know how to measure the time diligent, you better start figuring it out, man, okay? Turn back to the Father, you know, through the only begotten Son, Yahushua, and repent so that he can open you up before it gets too late out here, man. All right? Because once the lights go off, man, you ain't going to know. You're going to think it's just something that's, hey, let's just go down there and check it out. All right? We want to make sure our baby is, you know, having the best start they can have. If you got diabetes or you got, you know, so-called impaired vision, you might want to go down and get this procedure. All right? Or better yet, you might just want to take the microchip. Okay? And they can do whatever it is they need to do through that. All right? So it's best, hey, you get in line while you still got time, man. All right? Seek the Lord. Seek Yahweh while he may be found, man. Because, hey, it's going to come a time where what we say ain't going to be no more. All right? You're going to have to go by what you know. All right? And if you don't know this word, you don't know jack. Okay? So be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about. If you don't know, he got you. You don't need to run. Seeking whom he may devour. All right? So with that, we're going to wrap it up. With that being said, pray some moments edified through this lesson. And until the next time, if it be the Lord's will, stay strong, stay in the faith. We almost home. Shalom. Peace.